Welcome back to another episode of It Takes Two. I'm your host, Ethan.
And I'm Naomi. Today we're diving into a topic that's been making waves in the tech industry, the changing landscape of software development jobs in the age of AI.
That's right, Naomi. Just a few years ago, being a software developer was considered the dream job. U.S. News World Report even ranked it as the #1 job in the country.
Exactly. High salaries, travel stipends, flexible working hours. It seemed like the perfect career path. But something dramatic has shifted in recent years, hasn't it?
It certainly has. The rapid advancement of AI wasn't anticipated when the Bureau of Labor Statistics predicted it went veto growth in software development jobs by 2029. Instead of growth, we're actually seeing a decline.
The numbers are pretty staggering. Over 110 software developers laid off globally. That's not just a minor adjustment, it's a seismic shift in the industry.
I remember reading about Microsoft cutting about 5 of its workforce, Meta trimming 5, and Alphabet letting go of thousands. These aren't small startups, these are the tech giants that once represented job security.
It's fascinating to look at the trajectory, though. From the late 1990s to the early 2020s, we saw exponential growth in demand for developers. Universities were packed with students wanting to learn coding. What changed?
I happened, Naomi. By 2020, companies like Google, Microsoft, and OpenAI began developing the AI models that could generate code almost autonomously. Remember when ChatGPT first exploded onto the scene?
How could anyone forget? It was like watching the future unfold in real time. And then came GitHub Copilot in 2023, generating complete code snippets with just a few lines of input. That was a real turning point.
Absolutely. What started as helpful add-ons quickly revealed their potential to replace human jobs. A study in 2024 showed that 30% of tech companies had already implemented AI tools to automate programming tasks.
And it's not just affecting tech companies, is it? The article mentioned that 40% of non-tech companies plan to replace part of their development teams with the AI technologies in the next 3 to 5 years.
That's what makes this trend so significant. When Meta laid off more than 10,000 employees in 2025, about 15 were software engineers, and they explicitly cited AI integration as part of the reason.
It's the same story with Workday laying off 750 employees and Salesforce cutting more than 10 jobs with a 15% reduction in their software engineering team. And they're all pointing to the efficiency of AI tools.
I love how Salesforce was so transparent about it, cutting developer jobs while hiring more salespeople to sell their AI products. It's like watching an entire industry pivot in real time.
It's pretty wild when you think about it. AI is now allowing people with no prior programming knowledge to create complex applications using natural language instructions. That's a game changer.
I tried one of these AI coding tools recently, and I was shocked at how quickly it generated a functional lab from my description. Tasks that might have taken a team of developers can now be handled by automated systems.
And from a business perspective, it makes sense. Companies are looking to reduce costs and increase efficiency. If AI can boost productivity by over $230 billion as mentioned in the article, why wouldn't they embrace it?
Right, but here's where it gets interesting. The article doesn't suggest this is the end of software developers entirely. It's more of a transformation of the role. Human experience is still crucial in many ways.
That's an important distinction. Developers are now focusing more on strategic tasks, like system architecture, solution integration, and overseeing AI tools rather than writing every line of code themselves.
Exactly. It's like when calculators became widespread, mathematicians didn't disappear, but their focus shifted to more complex problem solving rather than basic arithmetic.
That's a great analogy. Creativity and the ability to solve complex problems remain uniquely human skills. The role is evolving into more of a collaboration between humans and machines.
So we're looking at a future where AI becomes a tool that enhances developers' capabilities rather than completely replacing them. But that still means fewer traditional coding jobs, right?
Yes, and that's the challenge many developers are facing now. They need to adapt and learn how to work alongside AI, taking on more strategic and supervisory roles while the repetitive and basic tasks get automated.
I wonder how this is affecting computer science education. Are universities adjusting their curriculums to focus more on AI integration rather than traditional programming?
That's a great question. Some forward-thinking institutions are definitely pivoting to include more AI-focused courses. The ability to interact with AI systems may become more important than in-depth knowledge of traditional programming languages.
It reminds me of how roles have evolved in other industries too. Photography didn't disappear when digital cameras and smartphones came along, but professional photographers had to find new ways to add value beyond just capturing images.
Exactly, and I think there's something profound about this shift. We're moving from a world where coding was the skill to one where understanding systems and directing AI tools becomes the premium skill.
It's like we're entering a new era of human-AI collaboration. The developers who thrive will be those who can speak both languages, the language of humans and the language of machines.
That's beautifully put, Ethan. And I think there's a broader lesson here about adaptability. The tech industry has always moved quickly, but AI is accelerating that pace of change dramatically.
Absolutely. So what advice would you give to someone who's currently studying software development or early in their career?
I'd say don't just learn to code, learn to solve problems. Understand systems thinking, and definitely get comfortable working with the AI tools rather than seeing them as competition.
Great advice, and maybe focus on those uniquely human skills that I still struggles with: creativity, empathy, and complex decision-making in ambiguous situations.
Yes, also, consider specializing in areas where human oversight is critical, like ethical AI implementation, security, or domains with high regulatory requirements, where human judgment is essential.
I'm also curious about the global impact. Does this shift disproportionately affect developers in certain regions or at certain experience levels?
That's an excellent point. Entry-level coding jobs might be hit hardest since those often involve more routine tasks that I can easily automate. And regions that position themselves as outsourcing destinations for basic development work could face challenges.
It's fascinating how quickly this landscape is changing. Just a few years ago, parents were pushing their kids to learn coding as the ticket to a secure future. Now we're having to rethink what skills will be valuable.
And that's the thing about technology, it's always evolving. The only constant is change itself. Those who can adapt and evolve with it will always find opportunities, even if they look different than expected.
Well said, Naomi. I think we're witnessing not the end of software development, but its evolution into something new, and that's both exciting and a little scary.
Perfectly put. And that brings us to the end of today's episode of It Takes Two. Thank you all for joining us for this fascinating discussion about the changing landscape of software development jobs in the AI era.
We'd love to hear your thoughts. Are you a developer navigating these changes? Or are you considering entering the field despite these shifts? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more discussions on how technology is reshaping our world.
Until next time, I'm Naomi.
And I'm Ethan. Thanks for listening to It Takes Two.